This is homework 29, graphing review. Our first couple problems, given an equation, find the x and y intercepts and then graph the equation. So we have this first problem, 3x minus 4y equals 24. So what would we like to do here? If we solve for the x and y intercepts, right? So we want our x-intercept is going to be 3x equals 24 because we're substituting in a 0 for y. That eliminates that whole y term. Divide by 3. X equals 8. So that's the point 80. And our y-intercept is negative 4y equals 24, and that's the same reason, right? We're substituting in a 0 for x, so that makes 3 times 0, which gets rid of that whole term. So we're going to divide by negative 4, so y-intercept is negative 6, so that's the point 0, negative 6. So we'll graph that over here. So we've got 8, 0 right there, and 0, negative 6 right here, and we draw our line, and that's what our graph should look like. B, our x-intercept for B here. Our x-intercept is going to be negative 2x equals negative 20, and our y-intercept should be 5y equals negative 20. So to find our x-intercept, we divide by negative 2. X equals 10. That's the point 10, 0. We can graph that over here. 10, 0. And our y-intercept, divide by 5. So y equals negative 4. So that's the point 0, negative 4. 0, negative 4 right here. And there's our graph. C is going to be super similar, except for we've got negative 35 and a 7 over here, so let's clean this up first. Let's add 35, and so our equation is really 6x minus 7y equals 42. So for our x-intercept, we'd say 6x equals 42, divide by 6, x equals 7, that's the point 70. And for our y-intercept, negative 7y equals 42, divide by negative 7, and so y equals negative 6, that's the point 0, negative 6. 0, negative 6, and it's just a coincidence that all of these have been positive slopes. We're not doing that on purpose to set you up for something. Now our last one is a little bit more complicated. Maybe. We've got the dreaded fraction. So we're going to have to mess with this fraction first. Let's go over here and say we want to get both of these on the same side of the equation, right? So 1/3 x equals 2y plus 5/2. Or do you really need to do that? So, and we don't really need to. We can just say, if we wanted our x-intercept, we can just say, well, we know that y is 0. I'll do it out the long way. 1/3 x equals 2 times 0 plus 5/2. All that does is just eliminate that middle term, just like we're always doing. So we've got 1/3 times x equals 5/2. So what would we do? We need to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're multiplying, both sides by 3. So we're multiplying by 3, and then we can write it 3 over 1. That simplifies. That's the whole reason why we did this. So we get x equals, and 5 times 3 is 15, so that's 15/2. That's 15/2, comma, what's our y value? 0. It's always 0 on our x-intercept. What is that also? What's half of 15? 7.5. In between 7 and 8. So then our y-intercept, the exact same thing. Now, I'm not going to rewrite this. Oh, I will. 1/3 times 0, because on our y-axis, all of our x values are 0. So we're substituting in a 0 for x, 2y plus 5/2. Right? So really that makes this 0, because 0 times anything makes 0. And what do we need to do? Well, we need to get that 5/2 on the other side. So subtract 5/2. Subtract 5/2. We get 2y equals negative 5/2. What undoes multiplying by 2? Dividing by 2. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by, yes, the reciprocal. So multiply both sides by 1/2. Right? So this would be negative 5 over 4, and 2 and 1/2. That's the whole reason why we did that, so that they'd simplify to 1. So y is negative 5/4, or that's 0, negative 5/4. So if we're going to graph this, it's a little bit different. 15/2, 0, that's our x-intercept. So that's, well, half of 15, again, was 7.5. So 7.5 out there in between 7 and 8. And then 0, negative 5/4, well, that's negative 1 and 1/4. 4 goes into 5 once with 1 left over. So negative 1 and 1/4, somewhere right in there. And we draw our line. Question 2, given the function, tell the slope and y-intercept and graph the equation. So I'm going to give the y-intercept because we graphed that first. So our y-intercept is 2, our slope is 3. Y-intercept is 2, our slope is 3, that means up 3, right 1. There's been some confusion on slope as well. So slope as 3, right? We'd write that as a fraction as 3 over 1. 2 positives. When I have 2 positives, that's up 3, and the positive 1 means right 1. Up 3, right 1. That's why we're moving up 3 and right 1. How else could we make 3? Well, we could also make 3 by saying negative 3 over negative 1. And what would negative 3 be? That would be down 3. And negative 1 would be left 1. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, left 1. And you can see that either way, we stay on our line. You know, if we were at this point, how would we move this direction? We'd go up 3, right 1. How would we move this direction? We'd go down 3, left 1. So it doesn't make any difference, is what I'm getting at. Our next problem, our Y-intercept, is there anything out here? No, so our Y-intercept is 0. And our slope is -2. So Y-intercept is 0. Slope, -2, that's down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, up 2, left 1, and draw our lines. For G, Y equals -3, right? These are always the same. These are always, you know, can be rewritten, right? So, well, our Y-intercept is what it says, -3. That's -3, our Y-intercept B. And our slope, well, if all our Y values are -3, right, what kind of slope do we have? Our change, right, from any 2 points, you know, -5, -3, to 4, -3. What's our change in Y over our change in X? What's that slope? Our change in Y from -3 to get to -3, we're not going anywhere. Doesn't matter what this one is if our top one's 0, you know, our denominator happens to be 9, but 0 divided by anything is 0. We have a 0 slope when we have a horizontal line. And our last one, our Y-intercept is 3. Our slope is 1/2. So Y-intercept of 3. Slope of 1/2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, and we graph it. Question 3, find the slope of the following. Well, when it says f of 2 equals 4, this means the value of my function at 2 is 4. So that means an input of 2 and an output of 4. That's all that's saying. So that's just the 0.24, and 0.6 means the point. Then an input of 0 would give me an output of 6. So that's the 0.06. Let me write it over here. 0.6. So what's the slope? Well, from 4 to get to 6, our change in Y over our change in X, our change in Y is 2, and from 2 to get to 0, our change in X is down 2. So what is that? 2 divided by -2, that would be -1, right? Our slope. We could also show that by graphing this 2, 4, right here, and 0.6 right here. How do we get there? Well, we could count. We could say that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's down 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, well, what's -4 divided by 4? That's -1, 2. Right? Just what we said it was going to be. Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. That's -1. There's our line, if we were going to make a line through them. So all of these, pretty straightforward, you know. We could just say, I'll do it again. This is the 0.13. This other one is the 0.37. What's our slope? Change in Y over change in X. 3 to get to 7 is 4. 1 to get to 3 is 2. So our slope is 2. We could show that graphing it 1, 3 right here, 3, 7 right here. how are we moving? Up 2 over 1, it looks like. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. C, from negative 4 to get to 5. Hope I don't confuse you. This is the point negative 1, negative 4, and this second one, f of negative 2 equals 5 is the point negative 2, 5. So change in y over change in x. Change in y from negative 4 to go to 5. Oh, we're going up 9. From negative 1 to go to negative 2. We're going down. We're going to the left, right? So negative 1, so that's the same as negative 9. We could graph that. Our points were negative 1, negative 4, and negative 2, 5. And remember, we're always thinking about slope as moving from left to right like we read. And this will count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 over 1, negative 9. Question 4, write the linear function f using the given information. So let's just say f of x equals slope of, so a, this will be a, is slope of negative 3, so that's negative 3x, y-intercept of negative 5 minus 5. Here's b next, would be f of x equals slope of negative 2 would be negative 2x, y-intercept of 4 would be plus 4. C, f of x equals slope of 6, that's 6x, y-intercept of negative 1, that would be minus 1. D, f of x equals slope of 0, so that's, let's think about this for a second, 0 times x, right? And b is 9, so plus 9. Now what is 0 times anything? 0 times anything is 0, so really this would just be f of x equals 9. Where else do you see that? Y equals 9, right? What is that? That's just a horizontal line here at 9. What are we on? E, slope is undefined. So what kind of line does that make? That makes a vertical line. So this might be good to graph. X-intercept is 4, so you know x-intercept is 4, and undefined means a vertical line. So that equation would be not f of x, it was just x equals 4. I can't really make that in function notation because it's a vertical line. And then f, kind of a difficult one. We're going to go through 0, negative 2. There's a couple different ways we can do this. So one way for f here is if we graphed it. 0, negative 2 is right there. And if we have a slope of down 5, right 3, okay, down 5, right 3, so down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right 3, 1, 2, 3, just so we get the idea. Up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, left 3. Alright, so we've got our line right here, right? So now, what's the y-intercept? This is really saying our y-intercept is what? B is negative 2, right? Because it gave us that point, negative 2. What's our slope? Negative 5/3, so that would be f of x equals negative 5/3 x minus 2. The other way we could do that is algebraically, right? y equals mx plus b, and it's gonna kind of go away early because our x value is 0, so but you'll get the idea. So y substituted in is -2 equals m -5/3 x 0 plus b. And now what's -5/3 times 0 is 0, so this is -2 equals 0 plus b is b. So what we just solved for, that's our y-intercept. So we just said, hey, our y-intercept is -2. Now, did we really need to do all that when we could say, oh, if our x is 0, our y-intercept is -2? No. But for a different point, you know, if that said 3, 2, right, then we'd substitute in a 3 for x here instead of a 0, and a 2 for y here, you know, instead of that -2. Five, write the equation of the line shown in the graph. So A is, what's our y-intercept looks like? 1. So y equals, there we go. Y equals, what's our slope? Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, so that's 1x, and our y-intercept was 1, 2, y equals 1x plus 1. Horizontal line, y equals, what is that? 2. All our y values are 2. Y equals, what's our y-intercept? Is a 4, sorry, -4. So -4. What's our slope? From here to get to here, 2 lattice points, looks like we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. Oh, look at that, down 2 over 1. -2 times x, -4. Here, what's our y-intercept? Is 4, right? Y equals, that's +4. What's our slope? Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, so -1x. Do we need that negative in there? No. Sorry, do we need that 1 in there? No. So this is more how you'll see it. You don't need that negative. You don't need the whole, the 1 in there. That's understood. There's a 1 there. This E, y equals, what's our y-intercept? -3. What's our slope? From here, lattice point to lattice point, up 1, 2, 3 over 2, right? Up 3 over 2, so that's 3/2 times x, -3. -3. Our y-intercept is 0, so that's +0 out there. Y equals, and then what are we doing? Down 1 over 1, so -1x. Now I don't need the 0 out there, and I don't need the -1, so it's just y equals -x. Question 6, write a linear function that represents the following situations. Car rental company charges a flat fee of $29. That sounds like a y-intercept. 29, and an additional 15 cents per mile. That gives it away that that's our slope. So m is 0.15, 15 cents per mile. To rent a compact car, write an equation to model the total y in dollars in terms of x, the number of miles driven. So y equals 0.15x plus 29. Photographer charges $50 for a sitting. There's our y-intercept. And basic package of photos, additional pictures cost $12 each. Write a linear model that gives the total cost in dollars in terms of how many extra pictures you purchase. So that's $12 each is going to be our slope. So 12, so y equals 12x plus 50 bucks. $50 just to get in the door. Then for every picture you buy, it's going to cost $12. But get 2 more pictures, it's going to be $24 plus your 50 bucks. Get 1 picture, 12 bucks plus your 50. You get 5 pictures, well, 5 times 12, 60, and 50, 110 bucks for 5 pictures.